Hello everyone and welcome to another video here on White Coats and Corgis. Today I'm going to show you a clip from the Premed Experience, which is a free event I created and hosted back in March 2023. The goal of this event was to connect pre-med students with admissions experts and make their advice a little bit more accessible. We talked with admissions committee members, deans of medical school admissions, and MCAT tutors. Today's clip is from our very last session of the day called Real Truth with Real Medical Students. All right, let's go ahead and get started.
Everyone, good to see you all again, and thank you to our medical students for joining. Again, I'm Dan. I am a second year internal medicine resident, and I'll be moderating the panel. So I'll be looking for questions in the Q&A portion below. But first, again, I want to thank our medical students for joining us, and I'm going to go one by one, and you just introduce yourself if you can, and tell us what year you're in and maybe what specialty you're interested in. And the first person I see here is Angela.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited. My name is Angela Rakowski. I'm a rising third year. I'm at Rush in Chicago, and I'm currently interested in OBGYN or neurology, keeping an open mind. Definitely very excited for rotations.
Awesome. Next, I see Brooke.
Yeah, hey y'all, Brooklyn. I am a fourth year medical student. Cannot believe it. So on edge with match next week. I'm in Texas, and I also am finishing up my MPH during medical school, so that might be relevant to someone. And I'm kind of revealing what I'm applying to soon, but it's more like primary care focus and trying to incorporate public health in my career.
Awesome. Next person I see is Zara.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm in South Florida. I'm a third year medical student, and I'm currently interested in emergency medicine, but it changes like every day. So stay tuned.
Fair. And the last person I see here is Kinza.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kinza. I'm a fourth year medical student. I'm actually here in Massachusetts, and I am applying psychiatry.
So then the next question I have is for Kinza here, and it comes from an anonymous attendee, but what advice would you give your freshman undergrad self? What would you do if you can go back in this whole process and have a chance to redo it as a freshman?
That's an awesome question. The first thing that came to my mind that I would redo is I entered freshman year of college with the goal that I wanted to go to medical school one day. So I did start like volunteering early on. So definitely try to do that with whatever organization you want to be a part of. If you don't want to volunteer in a hospital, that's okay. Just find some type of organization, pursue some passion of yours through that and start volunteering early. Something I would change though is I thought, like to get into medical school, I had to do a ton of research. I thought I had to get publications in order to get in. So I did treat my resume a little bit like a checklist. I was like, I need to get research. I need to get multiple positions. I need multiple papers. And after doing like 7 years to 8 years of research from the start of college to where I am now, I have definitely discovered that I hate doing research. I didn't enjoy like any of it besides maybe one research position I had in infectious disease. So if I could go back, I would do more clinical work. I would be honest with myself and be like, okay, I really don't enjoy research. So like maybe I could take a course and like become an EMT instead, or, do CNA a little bit more. I had gotten my certification, but I didn't really pursue it as much. So I would change that if I could go back. I wouldn't do all that research. I would have done stuff that I would have enjoyed more.
And so, Kinza, question for you in general, when you were in the process of applying, what did you feel like were the most important things on your application? You mentioned sort of like a checklist in a way, but was there something that was brought up in interviews a lot? Was there something like, whether it was research or clinicals, that you felt really sort of made you stand out as a candidate?
Yeah, I think for me, research helped me stand out the most as a candidate. And I actually, for one of my interviews, and this is actually for the med school that I got admitted into, I had printed out a kind of a diagram about my favorite research position, which was the infectious disease one. And I kind of like a lot of, if you do research, it will come up during your interviews and they'll ask you like, oh, what did you do during this research position? So basically the diagram I made was just a really simplified version of like what our whole research project was about. And it was visual and like it was colorful, and I printed it out and I gave it to them. I was like, oh, here's like a diagram that I made about my research as I talked about it, so they could follow along. And I think that really helped them stay more engaged and like not just go into dreamland while I was talking, like forget what I was talking about and zone out. I really think that helped the most. They were really impressed with that diagram. And I do think that helped me get admitted just based on like their feedback I got after. So I would say that is what came up the most during my interviews and how I created like a lasting impression.
Okay, thank you. Oh, Brooke, you had something as well?
Oh yeah, I was just going to touch base. One of the big recommendations I have, so I actually did like a biostatistics program in like Colorado, super random, right? One of the approaches to my application was finding things that weren't the most traditional, but ways that were applicable, right? Like biostats, like being able to really read research on like a deep level and just understanding that, I really felt like was a fun way. And like every single one of my interviewers like asked me about that program. And so, or even also kind of, this is kind of just adding on real quick, but I was like an RA on campus. When I tell you that people skills was probably the most applicable thing I did all of undergrad, having to like work with because you would do like difficult patients and all this other stuff. I had to work in so many uncomfortable social situations. And so just know that there are so many ways to apply. Because again, right, medicine isn't just that experience or the science, but it's working with people, both like your attendings and also patients. And so there's a lot of different ways to extrapolate those skills. But yeah, I did a biostats program. I tried to scribe, it didn't really work out, but I did some other stuff. I actually worked for like a social media agency. And honestly, I was able to kind of like tie things around, but it was definitely a good experience for me.